I'm Erick Erickson. These are the 4 things you need to know this afternoon before you get home. Up first, Operation Midway Blitz is underway in Chicago. It's a massive ICE buildup to arrest illegal aliens. Now, they're staging ICE agents at, what do you call it? It is Naval Base Great Lakes. I didn't know we had a naval base on the Great Lakes, but we do, north of Chicago. And they've stockpiled ICE agents there. Not only that, they're using Naval Base Great Lakes as a holding facility for those people arrested by ICE. Now, Democrats and progressives are lighting their hair on fire over this, but this is well within the president's authority to do. And people in Chicago say they hadn't really seen much of anything, but they do know there's been a massive buildup of illegal immigrants in Chicago over the last number of years. So ICE going in and rounding them up actually probably going to create some jobs for local Chicagoans and also cut down on some of the violence in Chicago. People who are progressive activists in Chicago were threatening violence if the president tried to engage in law enforcement activity in Chicago. But this isn't law enforcement activity. The Supreme Court this morning, right as my show came online about noon, said that the president can continue raids in Los Angeles because ICE agents conducting inspections to find illegal immigrants is a perfectly legal activity for the federal government to do, which they will now begin to do with Operation Midway Blitz in Chicago. Trump is surprising congressional leaders by supporting Paulina Luna's discharge petition in the House of Representatives to ban congressional stock trading. He's bypassing Mike Johnson and House Republican leaders with this, who were caught completely unprepared for the president to support Paulina Luna's discharge petition. Why? The Senate has a version of the congressional stock ban that applies to the executive branch as well. The president has said he opposes banning people in the executive branch from doing stock trading. That was Josh Hawley's idea. He joined with the Democrats. Congresswoman Paulina Luna's discharge petition applies to legislation that does not include an executive branch ban. It would circumvent Josh Hawley's ban, although this will have to go back to the Senate. Now, again, this catches Mike Johnson and House Republican leaders off guard. They were trying to block her legislation and cut a better deal with Democrats that would be more expansive language, but also give a little bit of leeway to some stock trading. Luna's legislation, which, by the way, has the support of a lot of Democrats, would do a flat-out ban on all members of Congress trading stocks. Again, Mike Johnson and Steve Scalise, they're not trying to do something nefarious. They were trying to write alternate language that they think had a better chance of passing the United States Senate and would give a little more leeway to members of Congress, which they think they need to pass the legislation. But the fact that the discharge petition has enough votes to get to the floor, bypassing congressional leaders, and President Trump is supporting it, suggests they're going to be able to get the votes and they're going to be able to ban stock trading by members of Congress. There is a question here because it sounds like a good idea. But is this yet another step along the way to depriving ordinary Americans of being members of Congress? Only the really rich will be able to do this now. There are certainly problems. I have an alternative solution. And that is, instead of banning stock trading, require immediate disclosure of stock trades. Because what happens with the Congressional Stock Trading Ban is you're going to prevent the middle class from being able to become members of Congress because the acquisition of wealth over time, except through their 401ks and the like, becomes problematic. We want to get rid of corruption is what we want to do. Sunlight is perhaps the best disinfectant. Instead of banning this so that only the super rich can really have an incentive to become members of Congress, require immediate documentation and publicity of all the trades so that you and I can also trade just like Nancy Pelosi with real-time notifications of her trades. That would encourage the middle class, not deny the middle class access. And I'm not saying the middle class is going to go to Congress and get wealthy off of insider trading. What I am saying is that if you're trying to build your generational wealth for your family, knowing that when you go to Congress, you're not going to be able to invest in the American stock market might be a disincentive, and all we're going to get is the super wealthy who are out of touch with you and me. Up next, French Prime Minister François Bayrou has been ousted. It's the second time in 9 months that the government of Emmanuel Macron has collapsed. Now, Bayrou is a centrist. Now, here's what's actually going on. France has terrible financial problems right now. In fact, the International Monetary Fund may have to get involved in France's economy because They've got massive, massive benefits. They have an aging population. They've tried to offset it with immigrants, and now there's a population backlash in France to the immigrants. There's just no sustaining the debt within the French government right now. They've shown themselves incapable of doing it. Bayrou is having to make cutbacks to social services, social commitments, raise taxes. And the populists, who are already angry with the French government, did not go along with it. They've caused the collapse of the French government. This actually provides, given it's a significant economy in Europe, more instability within the European Union. Ironically, that gives Donald Trump greater leverage over the European economy to be able to negotiate. Finally, lumber prices are falling, and that's not a good thing. You would think it would be a good thing, but why are lumber prices falling? Because there's a massive glut of lumber in the United States. Importers poured in a lot of lumber to the United States before tariffs, thinking that lumber would get tariffed, and to a degree it did. But the building is not happening, so lumber's sitting there, rotting. So why is this a bad idea, or why is this a bad sign? Because it means that American builders are not building at the rate they need to be building to justify the amount of lumber sitting in lots waiting to be harvested. That's a red flag for the American economy, that building is starting to slow down in the country. The president is thinking that he will apply more tariffs to lumber to raise the prices, but we do have a glut of lumber sitting there unused and rotting. And again, it's a warning sign for the economy that suggests an economic slowdown is starting to happen. Whether or not it is, we don't actually have that data. But in the past, when we've had an economic slowdown, lumber prices falling have been an early indicator that something was happening in the economy that was slowing down building and construction. So we have massive housing prices right now. We need to have more housing being built in the country, and lumber prices falling suggests the new building isn't happening. These are the 4 things you need to know this afternoon. I'm Erick Erickson. My job here with this podcast is, when the show is over, all the headlines that have hit in the afternoon, keep you up to date. So when you get home, you already know what the news is going to be. Have a great afternoon.